I just want to give it a couple of minutes just to make sure that everybody gets in there. I can see if you come in already. Can you just confirm in the chat that you can hear me, please? Just want to check my tech, first of all. Just give me a wave so I can tell that you can see me, hear me. Hi, is anyone there? Who have we got? See a few waves going on. Is that Paul I can see there? Craig, hi Craig. Jamie, how you doing, Jamie? Phil, can you all hear me okay? I need some waves. Keith's there in the background. Anton, Reese, Zarina, how you doing, Zarina? Right, I think quite a few of you. Oh, Elaine's saying she's got no sound. Elaine, are you sorting out your tech there? Hope so. Right, I can see quite a few of you are on. It's a gorgeous day down here in Hertfordshire. I hope it is wherever you are. So I think I've got everyone here. Let's just get started and jump straight into it, because I know you're all going to be really busy, either reading books, soaking up the sun, or whatever it is you're doing during lockdown. So firstly, I just want to say to you all that for anyone who stays to the very end, we are going to be giving away to every single one of you a gift that is worth over £1,000. I'm going to let Steve tell you about that at the end. So please do stay. Please do ask any questions. There's going to be a Q&A session right at the end. So just get your questions coming into the chat there. Had a few emailed to me already, and yeah, we'll get through them at the end. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to our guest today, Mr. Steve Jacob. Yay!
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how you doing, Steve?
I'm good.
Good.
Not big on social media, so a little bit nervous, but
you know, I'm going to cover that one later, actually. So, Steve, I'm just going to get straight into it here. I'm reading my notes, guys. I don't want to get anything missed out here. So you've been in business since you were 12. You were kicked out of school at 14. You managed to fight your way through construction, and you were a scaffolder. Not quite sure how, though, because obviously if you build, we'll get to that. You then went on to the city, where you make yourself a huge success. You own your own company. You decide to go into property after a chance meeting with Matt Harper Penman. You then put all your money and absolutely every ounce of energy you've got into it. You then lose a hell of a lot of money, but you built yourself back up. You're friends with the likes of Justin Whittemore, Kevin Whelan, Rob Moore, Liam Ryan, and I know many, many, many more. You talk to these guys for advice. You share your lives and how you can help each other. You're now doing commercial conversions. You've got land developments too. I know you've made up to 300K on a specific land development, which we can go into later. So a huge, huge welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I will just say, Steve, I'm glad you're abiding by the rules there and staying at home. I can see you're in your bedroom, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in my bedroom. So I was in my office, but it's right next door to, I've got a 16-month-old baby. And it was right next door. So when he was going for his nap, I was waking him up. So my missus just grabbed all the stuff and just shunted it in our bedroom. And I've been plugged out the way over here. So.
Oh, right. Perfect. So, Steve, for the people that don't know you, please do tell us your story here. I want to know what early life was like for Steve. What was your first business that you did, as I understand, at the age of 12? And when did you realise you were an entrepreneur?
Okay. So when I was really, really young, when I was in primary school, I was actually quite intelligent, and I left the primary school with straight level 5s. But I wasn't like special. Everyone in my class did. I went to a fantastic school with a great teacher. When going into secondary school, there were 2 choices, and all of my friends decided to go to one particular school. And my mum has always been really supportive of me, even from a young age. and I chose a school which was probably not the best of the two, but she let me go because that was where all my friends were going. And I didn't really like secondary school, and when I see the naughty older kids, I resonated with them. You know, they were cool, they had stuff, they had cool stuff, and I wanted that cool stuff. So at about 12 or 13, I was from a family of market traders, greengrocers. They were quite a loud East End family, and but like great energy, like all of them, you know. And yeah, so they would buy and sell goods and, you know, shirts, T-shirts and stuff like that. And I used to sometimes get some of them items, take them into school and sell them. I used to sell to teachers just to make like £5 here or whatever. And that sort of went on to selling sweets. And then when I was about 14, I got caught selling cigarettes. And the head teacher, who I got on with really well, I got on with all of my teachers really well. I never... You know, I tried to make their life hard. It was not like that. You know, the most strictest teachers in the school, I had a great relationship with. I sort of, you know, I was respectful, I would say. And when they caught me selling cigarettes, they kicked me out. And the head teacher actually said to me, "Steve, do you want to be here?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, I can do something for you. I can put you on a work relief scheme, but you have to come back and do your GCSEs for me." He said, he goes, I don't care what letter you leave with on the paper, but I want to make sure you leave with a letter. And I didn't leave with very good letters, I don't think. I think I left with a lot of E's and F's, but, you know, it meant a lot to him. So I did it. I showed up, did the exams. So for me, I didn't do the last 2 years and still managed to get D's, E's and F's, which, you know, there were kids who got U's and who were in school all the time. So I'm out of school. I tried to go into construction, like dry lining, plastering, carpentry, and all these different jobs. And literally, I was so weak. I weighed about 9 stone. I couldn't even lift the things they were telling me to lift. So if I didn't leave, they asked me to leave, until I met a company called Sebro Scaffolders, who really took me in because they were a friend of my auntie's. And I fell in love with the job. You literally just work hard all day, and get paid well. Nobody messes about with a scaffolder on site. I loved that. And we left early, got in late, but we worked hard. And I left there and went on price work, because throughout this period, I'm always buying and selling things and making money. That was always what I was doing. It's always been in my blood. And when I went on price, I did really well. But I decided that I had a passion for health and fitness, and a friend of mine was a personal trainer, so I decided to do the qualifications. And when I did the qualifications, I got all the way through to the end, got my first job. The day after I get my job, my cousin pulls up to my house in a brand new Bentley, and I'm like, wow, how have you done that? Like, you know, he was not clever. We were the same. He was 2-3 years older. And I was like, how the hell have you done that? I'm about 23 or 24 at the time. And he told me he's a salesman and he works in the city. And I said, well, I want that job. I just want that job. Get me that job. And I didn't have a clue. Yeah, obviously I knew I could sell, but I didn't know being a professional salesperson and being able to sell is two different things. And when I got into the city, it was funny because my first ever my job interview in the city, the guy literally, still to this day when we talk, says was the funniest interview, because I showed up, I had nothing, no CV, nothing. I just said, I don't want any wages, give me a seat, give me some names and numbers, and I'll be the best. And that was it, full stop. And he said, look, we've got to give you wages, but you've definitely got the job. Like, and they took me into this atmosphere. I can remember it clearly. I think it was all sort of dramatized, you know, they'd played it up. He must have been texting saying, look, I'm going to bring one of the juniors up. And I went on this trading floor and it was just electric. Like, it was the power when I hit the room, and that was it. I was hooked. So that's what I wanted to do at that time. So I got enrolled onto training. I had to read a 4-page script. I hadn't read in years. So reading was like, oh God, what am I going to do? I actually remember crying to my mum because I couldn't get the script. I just couldn't get it. And when I showed up on the day 2 weeks later, no one had read the script. I couldn't believe it. So I was with 12, 15 candidates in a room. None of them had read the script. And it was just, I thought that was crazy. So as they started going around the room, it was very apparent that I was going to be the best, because these people were not taking that job seriously, and I was taking it extremely seriously. So this guy changed my life, who trained me. He was well into his Tony Robbins and that, and made me believe in myself. That is the one thing that guy did for me that I want to install in my children and any child I ever meet at any age. I want to install belief in them. And I've actually read books on how to do that, and techniques on how to do that to youngsters, especially teenagers and younger. So this guy installed it in me. I went and sold for him, scaled up the company. And then I realized it was actually a very easy business. They were actually going to product providers and just putting people on phones and selling leads. I didn't know where to get the leads, didn't know where to get the product. My friend's dad owned a golf club. I walk in the golf club and talk to him, and he was really wealthy. And he just went, "Oh, my mate does that. He sells them products and he can get you leads." And I went, "All right, great." And that was my first business partnership. Did that, scaled that company to about 60 staff. At 60 staff, I was actually making less money than when we scaled back to about 7. And I took the best 7 out of 60. And that's when I really, made the business really successful. And then I walk into my friend's jewelry shop, and I was talking to him because we used to talk about, just general stuff. I wasn't buying anything. And this guy standing next to me was talking about property. And I was fascinated by how intelligent he was. And he was talking about stuff that, because I was in the city and, involved in investments, I'd heard terminology, but I didn't really understand it. I was a bit, I didn't really understand fully. I was more of a salesman, whereas this guy next to me he knew what he was talking about. So I invited him for dinner. We sat down, we had dinner, and I said to him, "Look, I love what you're talking about. If I sell my company, could I come with you? I want to just come with you." He said yes, and that was Matt Harper Penman, who we're still together today. It was hard. It was really hard. Literally, I've put everything into Fabrik over the last 6-7 years, and really did burn the boats, if you know what I mean, as Tony Robbins would say. And it's been a struggle. It's been tough. We very nearly lost everything. 100%, very many sleepless nights, and we made it through.
Wow, that's so. Of course, you are now known for being Fabrik, of course. A heck of a story, Steve, and a very interesting an exciting career, to be quite honest, and certainly far more than most of us will ever have experienced. Totally blown away already. I'm looking forward to the presentation. But before that, so just tell us a little bit more then. How did things with Matt Harper Penman and Fabrik progress from there?
So what, from when I first met him?
Yeah, so I mean, I believe
what chain of events after meeting him.
Yeah, I believe you were advised to go north of Birmingham, weren't you, at one point?
That's it, yeah. So Matt had got educated by an education company who, I don't want to say, but, it probably wasn't the best of education. It was probably a little bit dated for the time. And they advised to go north of Birmingham for the yield. And, the education that he was given was very basic, but I took that basic education as gospel. Where when I went into the city and did sales, I was trained by the best. He's 50 years old, and that's why I instantly made my way to the top scales. Whereas Matt had some education that was a little bit dated. It was watered down when it was given to me. Me and Matt, we knew we was inexperienced, even though I was a little bit older and had money. We went to St Helens. We're looking for deals in St Helens. Struggled, to be fair. There wasn't as much deal flow. And then there was a 64-bedroom hotel, 4 flats in the bottom, on a road called Albert Road in Blackpool. and it was £50,000, which just blew me away. I was like, wow, I mean, that's unbelievable. And we sold it in a day to an experienced London investor for £100,000. And I was like, well, I'm going to go there and have a look around. And when I was calling the agents, one guy said to me on the phone, he said, my dad was the largest landlord in Blackpool 10 years ago. Would you like to meet him? And I said, yeah, definitely. Get him straight away. I went to Blackpool, met his dad. His dad showed me all around the town, and I realised that this town actually had potential. It had collapsed in the 80s and 90s due to the demand from London not making its way to Blackpool. But then it had levelled out at that point and it was back on the move. So I was like really interested, but again, still very inexperienced. And like blood to a shark, the bad guys come out, knew that there was these London guys with money in the town. And basically I bought quite a lot of bad stock that was central residential type property. Which, you can actually get good residential property centrally, but I just didn't buy the right stuff. And that then caused us years of pain. We had bad builders, bad managers. I mean, I could write a whole presentation when I did this presentation, as I was writing it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like literally, absolutely, never thought I would. I thought it'd be a chore. It wasn't at all. And I thought to myself, God, I could write a book on the amount of mistakes I've made. And at the time, they're very painful. However, they mould you as a person, and you can't take mistakes. You can't, like, I could hold on to loads of resentment with them developers and them agents, but I don't. I actually thank them now, because the mistakes that I've made will ensure that I never make them again. So...
Yeah, I agree, Steve. I mean, one of the philosophies that I live by is that, every day I'm actually grateful if I've made a mistake, or, no matter how small, because you learn from it, don't you? And it's how you grow, and it's how you can move on, and it's how you can enlighten others as to, I made this mistake. It's nothing major, but it actually made me think X, Y, Z. And it really does allow you to grow more than your achievements, I always believe.
Yeah, you don't learn anything from not, if you won every time, you wouldn't learn.
Absolutely. So thank you. That's a huge insight. I've got to say, out of everyone that I've interviewed over the last couple of years, nobody generally deep dives into their personal life and upbringing quite how you have. And I think we'll probably get more personal when we get to the fire round of the Q&A. So just be prepared for that, everybody. So Steve, I know you've got tons of energy. You've said already that you're well and truly into your fitness. Generally on a normal work day, you're out there, into London, into the city, up north, etc. You're meeting clients, doing new business. So how are you and your family actually finding being locked down during COVID-19?
Well, surprisingly, I've absolutely loved it personally. Like, my relationship with my children and my wife and my dad, who lives with me, it's just been, I've not put enough time in. It's evident now. I'm going to put more time in the future. I'm going to work from home a lot more. I can just pop downstairs, have lunch with them. Sometimes I go out in the garden and play with them. And then I just come back to work. Like my missus is always, she's been locked down, the last however many years she's been locked down, as the pun says. She's been locked down with someone who works. I work tirelessly, 12 hours plus a day. Monday to Saturday, sometimes Sundays I'm not there. So just being around, we might only bump into each other and have 5 minutes chat, but it's 5 minutes of quality time, and I'm not as panicky or whatever, because I know that I'm 2 minutes from my desk. So I actually have loved it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are going to come out of this realising the benefits that they've had by being at home, and how much of a more quality to life that brings. Whether they've got a partner, children, whatever. I think it's certainly sending us all back to days when I was younger, which I know was only about sort of 10 years ago, but yeah, I see all the comments flooding in now. 10 years ago, But you know, when I was younger, it was all about family. It really was, and I think that a lot of people will go down that road now. I do hope so. So, guys, I'm going to get straight to it now. Steve, I'm going to hand over to you. I know you've got a great presentation lined up for us. So take it away. The floor's yours.
Right, okay, fantastic. I've got a timer on. I've got notes in front of me. I really don't, you know, you guys have given an hour. I'm going to try and keep it to an hour. It is tight, but I'm going to, I want to firstly thank you, Lynn. This has really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And you know, you keep going on at me about it, and I've really enjoyed the whole process. And I want everyone to know out there that she genuinely is, Lynn really is one of property's good women. And, you know, that's all I can say, really. She's a great woman. I've known her now for a year and a half or something, haven't I, Lynn?
Yeah.
Way together with Justin Whitmore's retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, got my notes in front of me. I'd like to just do a bit of a risk disclaimer to say, because I have invited a lot of teenagers and stuff, my friends' kids who are at home, like, this is hard. This isn't easy. Yeah. Anybody that sells you financial freedom in 7 days, just turn it off and ignore it. It doesn't exist. Please believe me, anything worth having, you have to work hard for. And you will make mistakes and there will be some problems and challenges along the way, but you'll get through it. Just stick to your goal and stick to your plan. So talking about options, right. So if you don't know what options are, one of the books that I first read, which did confuse me a little bit, was Donald Trump's Art of the Deal. Now, it didn't simplify options for me. So I'm not saying to read that to get that simplification, but he is a master at this, like a master. He is, I mean, his book, now I've read it now, it's been simplified. I mean, he's just such an intelligent person, such an intelligent businessman. So first of all, I want to simplify options. An option is simply an agreement between two parties. That is it. Yeah. Try not to overcomplicate it any more past that, because you know, you might get a solicitor sit with you and throw a load of legal jargon at you, and they are great solicitors. You need good solicitors in this strategy. But if two people agree to do something with an item, they can sit down, agree something, put it into a document, pass it to a solicitor and get it done. One thing you're going to need, I think, which is the key tool here, is a heads of terms. So this is basically me. I sit with my agents and vendors, and I sit with a bit of paper and go through term by term what creates the option, and we'll go into that a bit later. I then give that bit of paper, no, I take that bit of paper, I actually don't, my team help me a hell of a lot. We write a very detailed offer letter. Now that offer letter is then given to a solicitor, and a solicitor reads it and understands what you're trying to achieve. And he might say, what you're trying to achieve isn't quite legal, we need to do this or we need to do that, but he'll create it. He'll create the document. I'll give you an example of that. I wanted to take an option over a building and sell all the units off plan. You can't sell off of an option. You can't grant a lease off of an option. However, I can have a JV agreement alongside the option, which me and the JV partner, which is the landowner, agree for me to grant them leases. And it's all written up. But when my solicitor read it, it was a really complex set of terms. He knew what I was trying to achieve, and we got a solution. So a heads of terms is really important. You're going to find them through agents or direct to vendor. And agents can come in many forms: sub-agents, solicitors, you know, people who get property. This is a people business. So you're going to get deals coming from different people. But basically what I've written here, it's really important that if you're dealing with an agent, I think that there's one, two, well, I've written three here, but it's number one, do they do these options all the time? Do they do subject to planning deals a lot? Do they understand them? Because I speak to agents sometimes today that do not, that they'll literally, as I'm putting the offer forward, say, oh no, he won't do that. And I'll go, yeah, but could you put the offer forward, please? because I try to, if the agent won't let me talk to the vendor, which is understandable, I'll put it as in simplified terms on the offer letter, because I think there's hundreds of properties out there where the vendor would accept an option, because an option isn't unfair. It doesn't necessarily mean it's an unfair deal. It may stop that owner's pain. And an agent that doesn't understand sometimes clams up. And sometimes it's worth sitting with the agent and saying, look, I specialise in options, and this is some of the deals I've done previously. And here are some of the agents I've done them with previously. I mean, I've got friends who actually put me on the phone to do these for them. And then because I've done so many, the agent on the phone senses the experience and allows it to happen. If you've got a lot of trust with your agent and he doesn't understand it, he'll put the offer forward. So trust is a really big one. If you build trust with them, then they're much more likely to put it forward. They might not understand it, but they'll be like, are you sure about this? And you go, yeah, just put it forward, get it forward. And a lot of agents that trust you will let you talk to the vendor direct. And again, lots of times do our agents let us now talk direct. So I think that was important to highlight. So things to think about in an option. Price versus terms. So this is a really, really important one. Some people are so hung up on the price of something, and sometimes an owner won't be able to sell for lower than that price because they may have that as a loan. So they'd be selling lower than what they owe. Now, sometimes you can get terms that suit you. So there's a couple of examples I can give. Number one, you might go to a property you want to pay £50,000 for, but the owner owes £70,000. You can take an option over that property for £70,000, a 10-year option for £1, take over the property. So you have the right to that property. He can't sell that. That's registered with Land Registry, that option. You give him £1, you take his pain away, the bad tenant, the negative equity, whatever, you refurb it, turn the property around, get it operating, get it cash flowing for you, you've solved the owner's pain, and you've just secured a property for 10 years at £70,000. Now, if that property doubled within 10 years, it's now worth 100,000 because your offer was 50. So it's now worth 100. You refinance, pull all that profit out. And, again, you haven't had to put money in more than the pound, the legals, and, fixing the property. And you manage to do that deal. Another thing, terms can save you a lot in bridging costs. So if you've got a 6-month option to get planning permission, number one, you de-risk yourself by doing it subject to planning. And number two, you give yourself enough time to get it through. So you haven't got them bridging costs hitting you. And you can, honestly, when I was writing this, there's 1,000 different deals I can tell, ways things can be structured. But I'm just going to give you the brief facts. And like I say, I'm not unapproachable. Anyone can approach me via Instagram or something. So, option pricing, upfront consideration. So, an option a thing to think about within an option is what you're going to offer for the option. So, a friend of mine wanted to buy a property in Liverpool, 200 units. He didn't have the money. He had about 300 grand, I think he had about 400 grand, and he needed 200 grand to pay for planning and sundry costs. He took an option over the property for 2 years, put 200 grand towards planning and other stuff, and gave the owner £200,000, which was released instantly. The owner wasn't able to sell it. So but he knew at that point, the owner, that guy was committed. If someone gives you £200,000, they're committed to make that work. And they set a timescale of it of 2 years. And that was like a £50 million GDV property that was done. And when he lifted the value of planning, he refinanced, paid the owner, got the development started selling the units off plan. So 400 grand got him into a deal with, he hadn't told me profit, but probably the profit, if he completely gets through it all, is probably 5 or 10 million quid. I wouldn't ask him, I don't know. But he was able to get in that deal for low with big reward. A lot of risk. I say a lot of risk. If he puts the 200,000 down and then doesn't get planning for whatever reason, then he's lost the 200,000, he's lost the planning. But again, you mitigate that by having a team of experts. So you really do mitigate the risk, and we'll talk about that later. You want to put a long stop. Well, every option needs a long stop date. A solicitor will say to you, this option has to have a date it expires, or there might be trigger points within the option and then a long stop date. Always set your long stop date with consideration for error, because there will be planning delays, building delays, things won't go exactly as to plan. So if they're pushing you to do a 3-month option, don't do it. 6-month minimum with a planning option. You know, I usually go for 12, but I set mechanisms in the option to show the owner. Oh, I don't know what that is. Something's ringing over there. I might have to go turn that off. So you set mechanisms within the option that trigger to force you to perform. You might offer a price per plot. So sometimes you'll look at a plot and a planning consultant might say 30, 40, 50, you know, they can't put an exact figure on it. And if that's the case, a really effective way to offer is offer the owner a price per plot. You're both then incentivized to get as many on there as possible.
Oh, I think we've frozen there. Steve, you still with us? Steve? I think you've frozen. Hello? Hello? Can you all hear me okay? You can hear me? Right, have we lost Steve? Do we need to drop him out, guys, and bring him back in? Okay, I think our tech is just ringing him just to see where he is. Thank you, everyone, for saying you can hear me. That's great. Yeah, I think, yeah, Jonathan, too true. Right, I think Matt's just calling him to see where he's gone. He's lost his tech. That must have been that phone call. So I could, of course, sit here and tell you a few jokes, but I'm told that mine aren't appropriate for airing out there. So I think we'll go away from that idea. If you've got any questions, can I just ask you to pop them in the chat? For those of you that is first time on Zoom, if you look at the bottom there, you've just bring your cursor down. You can see you've got a chat option. Just click on there and just type any questions that you have as we go. And then at the end, I shall get through them all and ask them all. So, so Matt, where are you based, Lynn? So I'm based in Hertfordshire. I'm actually in Welwyn Garden City. Don't know if you know that area at all. It's gorgeous down here at the moment. The sun is really shining, hence the lack of clothes. So what, Paul Wald, how about a song and a dance? Yeah, it's really not what you want to hear, Paul. Thank you for that. I think you'll, I'll keep everyone away from that pain. I'd actually like singing lessons. It's one of my aims in life. It's on my vision board there to actually have some singing lessons. I can actually do an operatic one, but yeah, nothing more than that, I'm afraid. Dancing's not so bad though. Dancing's not so bad. So how are we doing, guys? How are we doing with getting Steve back in here? Just bear with me a second. Let me see what the problem is. Just while I text him. So yeah, so Matt, sorry, just going back to your question, you said, what was your business? So about a year ago, oh, I've got everyone else now. About a year ago, 18 months ago, I went into deal sourcing. And for those of you that know me will know that I'm a bit of an emotional soul, wear my heart on my sleeve. And as you know, we're going into 9-10 properties a day that are all probates. And I'll be totally honest with you, every time I walked into one, I would just cry. Certainly by the time I walked out, I would be crying. My heart would not look at it as a business perspective. It would look at it from the point of view that somebody's just died, that there were children there or beneficiaries to the will, let's say, that were after the money. And some of these places you go into, I can assure you, unless you have been out there truly deal sourcing, you would never appreciate the state of these houses. piled high, let's just say. Very, very upsetting situation. And I decided very quickly, before I had a nervous breakdown, that actually there was no way that I could carry on with sourcing. So Justin Whittemore, who was my mentor at the time, along with Sarah Poynton Ryan, he actually said on a retreat last September to me, "What, Lynn, you know, if anyone can go and ask for the money, it will be you." So that's what I did. I became an agent, and yeah, I basically go out there now and I look for the money. I'm getting some comments here that I think, is Steve back with us, guys? I think he's there somewhere.
Hello?
Steve, you're back. You're back.
Hello, I'm back.
That was unexpected. I had to fill in the gap there.
Honestly,
what are you doing to me? Seriously.
As you can imagine, I was flapping around like a madman, but I literally don't know what happened. I can see Craig Aikman though. Hi, Craig.
I was flapping around at this point. I was about to break into song and dance. Like, yeah. God, they all would have left. God. So, right, let's hand back over to you.
Honestly, don't know where that come from. So you do need to set a long stop date. I think I covered that. All right. You could offer a price per plot. You do need to consider timescales for planning and building. And it's funny because Craig's is my solicitor. You know, we're always talking about, you know, safeguarding ourselves with planning. I mean, we had one property though, we put a year option on it, which you'd think is plenty of time for planning. And the planners didn't get it through in time. And we had to go to a private investor who's a good friend of ours. And he funded the site without planning, you know, trusting us, you know, because we knew it was going to happen. And it come for about a month later. But, you know, that's the type of problems that do occur. And there was £40,000 we put into that plan application. An option gives you the right, but not the obligation. So an option is safer than an exchange, because an exchange, you still have obligation, but an option takes away the obligation. So if you take an option, they're safer. And how can I maybe better explain that? It gives you the control to do what you want without the obligation of the council tax, anything that Land Registry would tell other companies like lenders and council tax, gas, utilities. So it gives you the right, but not the obligation. And that is what makes an option safe and powerful. Who do you need in your team? Well, you need a solicitor like Craig Aikman. So you need a solicitor that's experienced in options, because some solicitors just walk straight away. You'll ask them to do it and they won't. You get a lease, which is very similar to an option. So a lease for a commercial property, you get a lease option. So it, again, simplified, it's just an agreement between two parties. The solicitors will fill in the jargon. Just tell them exactly what you're trying to achieve in a detailed offer letter, because if they understand what you're trying to achieve, they can then advise you accordingly on what terms may need to be changed. But we've always got there in the end. I don't ever remember having an option, a term not being able to be sorted out. You may need an agent. If you've got an agent and you work with them regular, and if they're a commercial agent, even better, because they're the guys that get the land, they get the commercial buildings, and they're the ones that know the owner's position. You know, some owners, they have big commercial buildings, they've got no interest whatsoever in going through planning. And if it's not selling, they will happily give you an option subject to planning. And yeah, agents get deals done. A vendor, you do need a vendor in any case, but being direct to vendor can help. Being direct to vendor can also sometimes not help. Sometimes an agent can be really helpful in sitting in the middle of the process, keeping things fair both sides. You know, I've got an agent friend of mine. We've been friends for years. We had a new restaurant tenant come in, and the restaurant tenant asked me for something, which got me a little bit annoyed. And the agent said, "No, to be honest, Steve, you're actually supposed to do that." So all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, but because I trusted him, the negotiation went a bit smoother than if we were direct at that point. A broker is a good broker. I mean, literally, the market is flooded with brokers. For God's sake, try and find one that's got experience in property, that's maybe a property developer themselves, that talks to all the lenders, that is passionate about their job, We found a guy yesterday called Stefan. God, the guy was so passionate. I mean, he spoke to, since COVID, he spoke to 100 lenders, detailed questionnaire about where they are in the market. That's the type of guy you want. You want someone who's got their ear firmly to the ground in any scenario. Development finance, definitely. You're going to need a good broker. If you're selling the land to a developer, you're going to want to know that that developer is going to pass due diligence. So a proof of funds simply isn't enough. You need to know that that developer will get through, and his experience will give him the ability to get the loan. Or you're going to take the property off the market, and then the guy's going to foul finance. So that's a really important one. You're also going to want to have some sort of idea around the exit. We bank with Handelsbanken, so we secure our exit before we even offer. I'll show the bank manager the property before I've even made an offer. So when you do go into commercial lending, it's good to have that relationship with your bank manager where you can talk about upcoming deals. I've told my bank manager about deals I'm looking at that are in my pipeline that probably won't come in for another year, but he knows about them and has told me, I like that property, it's in a good area. If you get it and it goes through the process, yes, we would look to fund that. A RIC surveyor is really helpful. So I've got a good story here that I thought I'd tell everyone. So we bought a building, a little bit blind, a little bit young, a little bit inexperienced. I walked around the back and there was a crack. Literally, you could have put your thumb down in the crack and it just went all the way down the side of the building. And it really rattled us because we'd never seen anything like it. And the RIC surveyor come along. He got a building surveyor. And the building surveyor, you're actually not going to believe it, guys. I've now got the window cleaning my house, making a god-awful noise. So the RIC surveyor brought along a structural surveyor who literally looked at the crack and went, oh, that's all right. Yeah, just put a plate there. And that's that problem solved. They'll sign it off. And it was like 400 quid. And we were thinking this house was going to fall down. But again, if we'd have had the RIC surveyor in prior to purchase, he'd have spotted that. It'd have saved lots of anxiety, because there was a lot for many days because we couldn't get the structural surveyor out. And we'd have known about the crack, and the crack was probably putting off everyone else. So we probably would have offered a lot lower than we did. So yeah, having the RIC surveyor can make, because you make your money when you buy. So he might spot defects in the property that you can highlight to the vendor that then gets you further discount. The surveyor, as I just said, will, someone's trying to get in, Lynn. Justin Whitmore's trying to get in, I think. So I don't know if...
it's late. Are we going to let him in?
I'd love him to be in. Like, he's such a, I'd love him to try and get in. If the tech guys can get him in.
Guys, can you try and release a place or something?
That'd be great. So the survey sub-consultant is guys like the structural surveyors. They'll be appointed by the RIC surveyor to have a look. In land, you get ground surveys and various different surveys. But again, if you go to your RIC's building surveyor, he'll advise rather than you worrying about 10 sub-consultants. Let him sort of guide you. And again, if he trusts you and you're giving him lots of business, he might not charge. You might have to early days give a little to show your commitment. So sometimes at the early days, people aren't going to give you their time for free. But as you get in the process, my planning consultant will sometimes go out for free. RIC surveyor will regularly go out for free to make sure that I'm not going to buy a pup and make sure we know what we're getting into. I'd say this guy is the guy you want to make sure you get a good one of. You want them to have a good relationship with the council, the planning consultant, and you want to make sure they've got lots of wealth of experience in the town. And if you've got a good planning consultant, say sort of Midlands or South, and you're buying something up north, even he should really try and find a really experienced local planning consultant, because every town, like for example, my planning consultant got us 6 units in a property that should have never got it. However, the case he put forward was that this is an iconic town building. We want to see it come back to life. But maybe a planning consultant that looked from down south looked up and said, oh no, that zone is no residential. So that was a case where we got something that someone who didn't know the town inside out and didn't have that relationship might not have got. Like I say, the planning consultant will have sub-consultants as well. So there's heritage rules, conservation rules. These guys I've paid these guys before and they've never really got round the council. The council have their own heritage people. You can sometimes bring in heritage people to battle them. I've never won. I'm not saying you won't win, but I've never won. And with the conservation people, they might annoy you at first, yeah, but they really do have a good eye for what looks right on the building. So as developers, you try and save costs, especially when you're buying investment properties. The conservation officer told us to put these expensive windows in, and I was like, that's pointless, you know, we're spending 20k more, and you know, trying to get him down. But then when the building was finished, I was like, oh, that actually looks really nice. So, you know, don't think it got me no more yield though. Right, the ultimate negotiation. This is my favourite slide that I did, and I'm going to try and speed up for you guys so that I don't breach this hour. I'm going to try my best. So when you're negotiating and you're going in to do a deal, the first question I advise you all to ask is, what is the story? How has this deal come about? You want to know what the pain the owner's feeling. Because if you can find the pain, it could be bad management, bad builders. Sometimes you can see it. Like a partially converted building is like someone's given up mid-build. Like an empty building is someone's just can't be bothered with it. But there's sometimes probate, there's sometimes divorce. You know, you might talk to you and say, oh, so what's going on with this building? Why are they selling it? Oh, well, the husband and wife, they're not together anymore and they're selling the portfolio. Well, straight away, there's pain in the situation, and you can be sure as hell one side is trying to force that sale fast. So, but there's loads of different pain points, like age, when they're getting elderly, like so many different pain points I can't tell you, but just open your ears and listen, because you will hear them. And when you hear them, you can then go away and structure your option around their pain. Solve their problem. That's what you're trying to do with an option. Solve their problem, and you know, make sure you get yourself a good deal, and you know, don't end up out of pocket. I always use this pitch with an agent or a vendor. I'm a developer and I take risk, you know, by getting the finance and stuff. And I like to make, on average, per project, about 25 to 30%. Are you comfortable with that? Like, I just want to put that out there now. Is that a number that makes you uncomfortable? I've never had anyone say, yes, that's too high, because I don't believe it is. I think the risk you take on as a developer, that figure is not too high. And I'd happily deal sometimes at 22, 23, but you just put it out there pre-offer, because then when you present your offer, you can give a detailed offer pack to the seller, and the seller can see how you got to your numbers. You didn't just, if an agent tells a seller something's worth 400,000 and you offer 300, you've took 100,000 off them. That's how they feel. They feel like they've just lost 100 grand. Now, if you can show them how you got to that offer, then all of a sudden you haven't taken 100 grand off them. The agent's got it wrong. And I think agents really, sometimes, really don't know their numbers. I don't even know why some agents list, because it's the figures just, you know, and it's false hope to the owner. Right, the 6 Ps. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Very true saying. So if you prepare properly your offer and your due diligence, you will go into that negotiation with a 100% clear mindset. If you think, oh, the build cost might be 10 less, or the planning might be this much more, your figures are sort of vague. Go in with the mindset that you know exactly what's coming out of that, and you will offer with confidence, and they won't squeeze you up where you're making yourself unsafe. Mindset's important as well. When you go to a deal, don't think negatively. If a deal's been sitting on the market for ages, don't think, there's probably a problem with it. Don't instantly think of negative. Think that this could be an opportunity. I look at every deal as an opportunity. It's then after my due diligence that I decide if it's not. I don't look at a deal and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I used to think negatively instantly. Oh, that's been there a long time, so it's probably something wrong with it. And if you go in with that mindset, It's like giving up straight away. You want to consider an exchange amount. So I always try and exchange with £1 or £100, £1,000, something nominal. But if the owner is okay with the rest of the terms, but he doesn't think you're financially committed enough, you know, start at 2.5%, 5%. And that way you are giving the owner confidence that you've got money in the deal. Now, another way you can do it is you can say, look, I'll give you £1, but I'll commit via personal guarantee for 10%. So that way, you don't have to actually give him the money, but you are committed via personal guarantee. So that owner knows that he can come for your house. And, you know, I happily put PG on the line if I'm going to offer, because if I'm going to offer that, then I'm going to perform because I've done all my homework and my due diligence. An option fee, I spoke about this earlier, so I won't dwell on it, but that guy that give the 200, you might give the guy 10 grand to sign the option, you might give him 5, but sometimes a fee, it does help the deal along. Some people do need cash on the hip. You might offer a percentage of profit. This has worked really well before, where you say to the owner, you know, if I make X, you get X. So you give him maybe a lower figure than he wanted, but you give him a percentage of the profit and you just open book with them. You might pay the vendor's legal fees. That's a good one. Again, taking any pain away from the vendor, legals. By paying for the planning, you're giving in the example with the £200,000 planning application, that guy didn't have that money. So he was never going to get the lift in value because he didn't have the money to pay for planning. So by my friend paying for the planning, it gave the vendor more than what the land was worth as bare land, but got the deal going. Take time to explain to agent and vendor. Yeah, so yeah, I remember why I wrote this now. So do take the time to explain it. And I do think if you put things in a letter is the best way, because a letter, if someone is trying to negotiate with you, sometimes the person's guard might be up, and they might, if they don't understand it, just say no. Rather than ask questions, just say no. Whereas a letter, they can read it again and again and again. They can show it to their solicitor. They can ask if it's legal. That, you know, it can sit in their drawer for 3 months, but it's there. So I think an offer letter is a really powerful way of explaining yourself. But if you're explaining yourself to a vendor or an agent, keep it simple. You know, just keep it simple. And always, look, I'm trying to make something work. I'm trying to offer as much as possible. By doing an option, I'm saving myself finance costs. So it's the easiest way for me to get you the most money. You could offer assistance moving. You might want to offer them assistance moving you know, their stuff or destroy it. You know, we had a hotelier was really worried about moving. She was like, oh, my husband's not going to do it. And so I offered the full move service and to get rid of all of the stuff she didn't want, basically, which is easy when you've got people on the ground. But to them, it was a big thing. You know, they was older and it was a big thing moving. I think we've all experienced how painful a move can be. Pay for their utilities, rates, take that off them, take pain away from them. You know, after we've signed the option, I'll pay for the legals, I'll take your utilities and rates on. And, you know, it's not my first, I mean, the ultimate negotiation, guys, is we'd go out and buy everything for nothing. And that just doesn't happen. So I always start with a real broad thing, but then I leave all these points as further negotiations to try and win the deal. So you start here with all these little tools in your armory. Take away the management stress, which we're actually doing one of these now. We're taking the management off of someone so that he doesn't have to deal with the management. Present a detailed offer pack. We spoke about that just now. It's a really important one. Timescales. So timescales, the way I do this, so I will say to a vendor, subject to planning, we will submit planning within 4 weeks and we will complete within 6 weeks after. So that way, even though you've got a 12-month long stop, you've got mechanisms in the contract which, you know, which show the vendor, look, I'm going to perform. If 4 weeks after the day of signing, I don't, the option's then invalid. So they know they're going to see that on the planning portal within 4 weeks. Know your maximum offer. It's really important because if you know your offer, then, you know, it's clarity. Negotiation, I feel, is about clarity. If you've got it clear in your mind, you won't be out negotiated. Keys undertaking. So we've done these before, where we've said, yeah, we'll take the option. We'd like a keys undertaking to get the builders in. So that means between exchange and completion, we can get build work done, planning work done. We can get access to the site. We've got a set of keys. That's an important point. I think that's that for that slide. So I'm moving along swiftly. Building relationships for me has been the key way that I found property. I had a meeting the other day with Paul from Nimbus, who owns Nimbus. Fantastic software. Guy blew me away. People are going to make a lot of money out of Nimbus. It isn't my style. Like, I just can't. I'm not a techie person. I don't like being in front of a computer all the time. And even when I am in front of a computer, I'm video conferencing or talking. I make money by building relationships. So to people out there, Nimbus is fantastic. Software blew me away. But if Nimbus sort of doesn't float your boat, go the other way. Just go and build relationships, because property has two P's. It's the property and people. One technique I used to use when going into an estate agent is they'd always say, would you like a drink? And I would say, oh, do you know what? I'd love a coffee. Now, what a coffee does is a bit like an egg timer. So it gives you 15 or 20 minutes to build rapport with the agent. They will then likely offer you a seat. When you're seated, you can then do the two things that build rapport: time and questions. If you keep asking someone questions about themselves, you don't even have to say anything, and they will gain a liking for you. They'll like you. And, you know, the book that I would say is the best book to read around sales is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a fantastic book, written, I think it was written 100 years ago. But again, the hot drink is the egg timer. Look for the hungry sales guy or the tough-nosed manager or the valuer. So the hungry sales guy is the obvious one, jumps off his seat, comes at you and starts showing you all properties. Fantastic. That's the guy that's going to get you the deals done. He wants his commission. He wants to get you the deal. He wants his commission. He wants to get the deal done. They're the ones to look for. The second people to look for are the tough-nosed managers. They sit at the back of the room. They don't want to talk to no one. They don't like customers. They've been through it. They've heard all the spiel. I've got 100 grand. I've got £1 million. They've heard it all and they're just not interested. They've got their book of clients. They've done their time. They're good. They're tough nuts to crack, but if you can crack them, they're likely the ones that get the instructions that matter. The valuer is a good one because he's out there talking to the customer. So if you go to a property, always say, oh, what department do you work in the agency? Oh, I'm the valuer. Oh, fantastic. So have you spoke to any customers lately who are a little bit, you know, eager to sell? Great question. Yeah, I spoke to a guy the other day, fell out with his wife, or, you know, he's just landed this accidental property, he's an accidental landlord. The valuer has the story. The story is the first part of negotiation. This is a good one, share a car. So if you're in the agency, say, have you got any properties I can view now? Any empty properties, any properties where the vendor's sort of open to viewings anytime? Yeah, we've got one here. Forget what the property is, just act interested, because you're not going to build rapport in one day most of the time. It takes a few weeks of going back and forth and, you know, being a regular face. But then say, should we just take one car? Because if you say that, it forces you both to be in the same environment for 10 or 15 minutes, which then gives you more time to build rapport. Look for signs of rapport. So signs of rapport are slang and swearing. If you start to get someone comfortable, they might start using slang. Their body language might change. They might start smiling a little bit more. You'll notice they're not as rigid. Another way, I might drop a few swear words in. Well, I swear quite a lot, to be honest. I'm doing very well at the moment. But I would drop a few swear words in. And then when they start swearing back, I know I'm in rapport. I know they're comfortable with me. So it's a good sign. This is a fantastic one. Everybody thinks you've got a drink agents. It's completely not true. Women control that environment as much as men. Most estate agents have very strong-minded women in them. Donuts, flowers, card to the staff. It goes down well every time. And, you know, so many people forget this. They might do 3, 4, 5 deals with an agent. If there's a really strong-minded woman on the desk, always remember, because women definitely the fault that counts. Cash incentive. You can always offer a cash incentive to agents to acquire property for you. So, I mean, that's an obvious one, but you can offer it. Profit share incentive. If you've got an agent and you say to him, look, go and find me some land. If he's not got planning and we get planning on it, I'll give you 20% of the profit, and you haven't got to put any money in. Well, you know, agents don't get them offers. They don't get them offers. That is like, you know, if you make 100 grand, I'll give you 20. Like, that is a fantastic incentive to get someone working of an evening on their town that they know a lot better than you to find you a deal that's going to make you both money. And again, that is a JV partnership. You deal with the funding and the planning, and they find the deal. The heart of this business is in the deal. You have to be able to find deals. And if you can't yourself, incentivize someone else to do it for you. Because if you're getting deals, then that's you know, that's the heart of this business. Stick to your word. With me, if I look you in the eye and shake your hand and do a deal and buy something off you, that deal is done. We don't need anything else. Now, not everybody's like that, sadly. It's really sad, but not everybody is like that. Stick to your word, because agents, as soon as they lose faith in you, you lose future pipeline and someone else gets it. Whenever I've spoke to somebody who does a lot of deals, they've always stuck to their word. And with sticking to your word, sometimes you will offer incorrectly. And if you offer incorrectly, sometimes just perform on it and bite the bullet. Now, if you've got a really good relationship and you say, for God's sake, I've offered too much on this. And he says, oh, mate, come on, you can't put me through that. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not happy, but I'll do it. But then it's in his call, and he might come back and go, come on then, what have you done wrong? But if you're new to that agency, that will be, you will destroy that relationship if you try to chip at the last minute. They'll probably never find you a deal ever again. Again, when you've got the trust, they're a little bit more lenient because they know, look, he's done this once in 10 deals. It is unusual. Do remember, a good relationship could be worth millions. Like, that is very true. A good relationship nurtured, especially with commercial agents, could be worth millions. So that was my tech guy. Put the money swelling there.
Lovely.
Right, so I really want to get through this. I'm in fear that I'm going over. So do you need me to speed up in or skip at all, or just
no? Because I think this is your last slide anyway, isn't it? And this is important because this is what we're in at the moment. So yeah, please carry on.
Okay, so we are in the full spectrum. We're doing deals, we're getting finance, we've got builders on site, we've got management, we've got service departments, we've got finance, we've got banks helping us, letting us off things. So we are literally in it and experiencing the whole chain. So I've just gone through it one by one. Finance has stalled. The guy that I spoke about earlier who spoke to 100 lenders, all of them have changed their terms in some way. Some with loan to value, some with the way they appraise, but all of them have changed something. There are still lenders out there lending 65% to loan to GDV. There are a lot of family offices sweeping up deals that your likes of United Trust Bank and Octopus have dropped the loan to GDV on. So family offices are not much more expensive, but they are more expensive, but they're more entrepreneurial. So they're hoovering up the deals at the moment, and they're accepting rewritten valuations in some cases. So if you're in that situation, that could be an option for you. But again, you know, all of our finance is stalled across everything, and we're working with our buyers, we're working with our sellers. I do think that the whole economy is coming together to help each other. We've not experienced any spite at the moment. But yeah, finance is definitely had issues. Construction, my builder, who I believe is on here now, Jordan Mossman, wants to get on site, but sadly, Howdens are shut. So he's in a bit of a pickle with one of my properties, but he can get on other jobs now because he's looked for other merchants who are still open in the in the economy. And my Rick surveyor has said that they've loosened the guidelines for construction workers to get them back on site. I also watched a video of Mark Homer the other day, who was actually sitting on site. So, you know, I do believe construction's moving. And one of my builders has said that he's not comfortable. So I'm looking to take that job off him and give it to another builder because, you know, I need to get that job going. But some builders are just, you know, they'll tell you point blank, they don't want to go out. Agents, a lot of them are taking a holiday. Don't know why. Don't know why. Agents should be picking up the phone, you know, getting in touch with their best customers, their best investors, and getting out there and acquiring property, ringing people, you know, previous people they've spoke to. I've got proactive agents. I've also got agents that have just took this as holiday and, you know, completely irresponsive. Our offers have changed slightly. You know, we've dropped the GDV slightly on some of the investment stock. I do believe the buy to sell market is likely to bounce back. I don't know. I'm not a full economist. I mean, you get such mixed views out there, but our offers have pretty much stayed the same. You know, we're positive on the bounce back. Investor confidence extremely low. Our investors' confidence is extremely low. I mean, we called the whole database. We've got 500-600 people on it. 90% of people not interested. Now, that to me screams time to be getting yourself in the market, because Warren Buffett says when there's blood in the streets is when you should be buying. And when investor confidence is low, it does give you the opportunity to negotiate options, better deals. I mean, a couple of our buyers have ended up getting little bits of, you know, extensions on the options from us. We're sellers ourselves. So, you know, we do options with we do subject to planning deals with sometimes our buyers. And we're negotiating and giving them better terms because of COVID. But again, you know, it seems to me that investor confidence is pretty low at the moment. So I think if investor confidence is low, it's a time you should be looking. I don't watch a lot of the BBC and the national press. I just don't have much faith in the news that they put out there. So I focus more on YouTube and people I feel are, you know, carrying themselves with integrity and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like they're just mouthpieces on the TV, whereas some of the people, the economists I follow, like Mike Maloney and Jeff Berwick, they're like actual business people as well as commodity experts. So I do believe commodities are going to soar. I think if you can get, well, not all commodities. I think if you hedge with gold and silver, that is where you're going to see the most tremendous gains in the next 2 to 3 years. Management, we had a rush of tenants trying to get in pre-COVID because we was all getting whispers we were going into lockdown. After that, it's gone pretty much dead. Our service departments have got some doctors and nurses in them, key workers, road workers, oil rig workers. So we have managed to get the service departments 50% full, which just about, you know, we haven't overpriced anything. Like we're not into making money out of the NHS and stuff like that. We're not playing that game, but it just covers the rent, you know. Again, service departments there, sorry. The government, I think the government did a really good pitch. You know, we're going to help, we're going to do this, we're going to do save small businesses. Still not received any grants. Furlough's been an absolute nightmare, but I will say that was probably quite tough for them to put in that system. I haven't received anything yet. I don't think the grants are enough. I don't think the grants are enough for what we have all lost here as an economy. But again, we're saving lives. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm enjoying being at home with my family is about all, but you know, it is sad to people that maybe are struggling with this. But I think the government have, I don't know really what to say. Bank assistance. So I bank with Barclays, I bank with Handles, I bank with RBS. Barclays and RBS have been pretty shoddy. I know a friend of mine had a good result with Barclays. He's got a huge container business, and he got an instant capital repayment relief. Barclays haven't been great with me, don't respond to my messages. They're probably overwhelmed. Handles banking at first, were sort of against the capital repayment relief. But the thing is with Handles, they're an intelligent bank. They take their time. So they took their time to get their head around what to do. They decided because you bank locally with the Handles branch, it's quite a bit of a private service. I mean, my bank manager's got 50 customers. My Barclays bank manager's got 2,500. So the service difference is, I mean, I can ring my bank manager now and he'll say, oh, hi, Steve. And I'm through security. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Security's done. There is no security. And we talk weekly now, just about everything. And I send him a monthly report and he reads it and he comes back with queries. But he's agreed to, look after us on the capital repayment holiday. I was told by another person in the network that the capital repayment holiday would affect your credit rating. So I asked my Handles bank manager that, and he said, no way, we're restructuring the loan. This is the bank's decision as much as yours. You're not doing anything against terms. We won't be showing this to credit agencies. So that was his opinion there. So I think we must be over an hour now. That's it for COVID. Again, thanks for watching. I hope I felt it with as much information as I could. I could have written a book on it. I could have stayed here for 3-4 hours. Had to get through it in an hour. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So one thing I'd like to do, I've got this written down in front of me, is people that, look, I'm sitting here and saying I've done this and I can do this and this and that. But realistically, it's these people that have all played a part in this. So to the people that keep me motivated, Mike Maloney, Gary V, Jim Rohn, mentors like Justin Whitmore, Liam Ryan, Jay from Assets for Life. Danny Inman's been great watching his social media. I think he's got fantastic social media. To my partners over at Sky Group, Fuser at JMW. Fuser at JMW is a top London law firm. Great company to work alongside at structuring complicated stuff. Craig Aikman at Vincent's. Rob Newman, the planning consultant. Harry Carter from Carter Zub, my Rick surveyor. To all of Fabrik Property Group, namely Fran, Bill, Mitch, Jordan, Dave, and importantly Matt, who's been there with me for 6-7 years now. To my friends Dan, Chris, Darren, my whole mastermind group. I've got a Saturday mastermind with loads of people in it, and you're all great. You keep me motivated. Lynn, thank you. To all my Vegas boys that I meet up with every year that keep me sane, keep me smiling. To Rav and Sarge, Will Poulsen, and my builders, Dave and Jordan. Thank you to all of you. You're all absolutely amazing people. Thank you.
Steve, that was amazing. Thank you. I
really had to rattle at one point. I was trying to just go.
I almost felt like I was at the Oscars then as well at the end. I could just picture the whole, round table, black ties, long cocktail dresses and champagne flowing by the millions of pounds. But thank you.
Your people around you are everything, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
You have to surround yourself with good people. And if I don't thank them people, it's not fair. So
you're right. What's the saying? If you want to go slow, go it alone. People are just everything. As you know, I'm very much a people person, and you can't do these things on your own at all. You're very wrong if you think that you can. We could go on about that for ages, couldn't we? But it's a people business. You've got to build relationships. So thank you very, very much. Really is truly appreciated. That's a huge insight into options there. So I'd like to go straight into a Q&A session. We've got some questions coming through on the chat here. Had some come through on email. I'm so grateful for my son and my husband, actually. If you were sat here in my office, you'd see my multiple screens. So I've got emails there, chat there. It's all coming at me everywhere here. So, so anyway, Steve, everyone, if you could just put in your questions in the chat, please, or send me a text, whatever you want to do. Steve, I've got some questions then for you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You're ready. I'm going to have a quick fire round at the end as well. Now, I know you're not expecting that, so you're ready for that as well?
I don't know.
No, you're ready.
Oh, God. Lynne, I know what you're like as well, so I am actually genuinely concerned.
Yeah, you should be.
Go on,
So,
though. Go fire away.
first of all, okay, we've got one here, had email from Craig. He said, just going back to what you were saying about Blackpool, etc., would you say it's important then to become part of the community? Even if you don't live there, spend time there, sit in the cafes, go to the shops, get yourself seen, talk to the shop owners, the solicitors, etc.
100%, yeah. I mean, if you've been to Blackpool with me before, Lynn,
Yeah,
I've took you to the beach house, haven't I? What's our relationship with the local
it's
business owners
amazing.
there? We support the best
Absolutely
of them.
amazing.
We're all in this together. Like, the business owners love that we're bringing investment to the town. The council love it. Yeah, really do knit yourself into the community. Go to the committee meetings whenever you do planning applications, just to shake hands with the committee. If you've got the balls to, stand up and do a little speech. And then, like, yeah, local businesses, it's really important, of course. Like, the thing is, right, you need to fall in love with the town. I love Blackpool. Like, for God's sake, I want to change it. I want to help the town. I want to make it better. I've got the ability to do it. So for one, I feel like I'm making a difference to a place. I actually don't get excited about doing deals in Essex, ever. I don't do any deals in Essex. All my deals get done in Blackpool. That's just my little honeypot. Don't get me wrong, I've got a sweet spot for Chelmsford. I've lived here my whole life, but I actually know Blackpool better than I know Chelmsford.
Perfect, thank you. So what's the most creative term you've put into an option? Mike is asking.
Craig Aikman will probably be able to answer this one because he's done most of them. But creative term, well, I've never put any sort of football tickets on the line or anything like that. I guess the most creative, when I was writing this, I thought of the terms that I'd done previously to write this slide. And probably it was the old couple moving out the hotel. They wanted their 16-year-old boy to be able to walk to school. He had 1 year left. They were happy to secure the price that day. So I took a 2-year option to secure the price on that day and offered them that after a year, when the boy had left school, we would find them a property and I would help them to move into that property by disposing of everything they didn't want. Mate, that literally, I said to the woman, you will just point and men will move things for you. It'll be as easy as that. And I think that was maybe one of the terms that pushed her over the edge, because I just listened to her, and from listening to her, she was dreading it. I mean, most men do leave it to the woman, don't they? And when this woman was maybe 70, can you imagine the worry? So yeah, I just sort of made, and we will do that. So yeah, that's probably the most great.
That's lovely, thank you.
Oh,
So Lubomir says, when you start now with little money, what strategy will you choose and use this big opportunity coming 3 years? What strategy?
little money meaning no money, little money and no money. So I know Lubomir. Hi Lubomir, great to have you on. Thank you for coming. And I hope you're hitting your goals. I know when we first met, you said you were going to take the market by storm. So brilliant to have you here. This is definitely a good strategy for you to learn if you want to go to the goals you told me on the day we met. I would say partner with developers who get land, or partner with investment brokerages that get investors, and sit yourself in a position where you've got zero risk. They give you deals. You're not under massive pressure. You're working as a partnership, and then you go and distribute the deals. So you act as a broker. You can do that with finance. You can do that with deals. Sit yourself in a pocket where you can watch all the deals unfold in front of your eyes, but you don't have to put any money in. Because trust me, do not throw all your money at a deal. You don't need to. You can make tens of thousands of pounds off of other people's deals, by broking. I mean, other people. And I mean, that's one thing I would have done. I'd have just stayed as a broker. And then when you build your pot up, then you've got money to put to planning permission or to put down on an option. You've got a little pot, but don't go and put that plot and sink it into a property. Put it into options, put it into planning applications. Do your homework before you do your due diligence. But, that pot of money, I think, is best used in option strategy.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Lou.
Glenn Jacobs is actually in response a little while ago when you were first speaking. He said, "Trust me, take the time to explain to an agent." So yeah, it's very important to build your.
Glenn Jacobs is a fantastic agent in East London, and I don't. All my rental properties from Essex and East London go to Glenn, without a doubt. Been in the game 15 plus years. Motivated. Holly has got a property in Raynham. I give to him. I would always run a deal past him if I was going to buy. I was actually on his stag do. So yeah, Glenn, you know, it is so important that you just talk to your agent. If you've got an agent like Glenn, you're fine, but they're not all like Glenn.
Right.
I've got one agent who, no, actually, I won't go into that. Carry on.
I was going to say, Glenn is actually obviously speaking from experience there. So Parol is saying, can we get Stefan's details, the broker? Yep. Yes, absolutely. I'll get one of the guys to put that in for you now.
Yep, no problem.
If you could just please say, out of respect, that you heard of him from Steve Jacob on this webinar, we'd really appreciate that. Keith is saying here, oh, Keith Whittingham, I wonder who that person is. Would you ever make an option offer if you didn't really have 100% intention of following through with the purchase?
No.
Good.
Never.
Glad you said that. I'm sure that's what he'll be thinking too. I know that many out there would answer that differently. Zach is saying, how would you approach a vendor to close him or her on an option, verbal with a written agreement? What would be your strategy?
It depends really. If you can sit with a vendor, just sit down, comfortable, relaxed, and just say, hi, I'm a developer. You know, I always lead with, I like to make 25 to 30% profit. Is that something you're uncomfortable with? Because if it is, I'll probably have to leave now.
Right.
No, I understand you've got to make a profit, you know. Okay. So we're over that point. Basically, the way I structure deals is like this. I'll take the property, I'll give X here, get this time, and in that time, it'll give me the time to get planning permission, and then I'll pay you after that time. But I just need control of the property for X amount of time to get what I need out of it to make it work. Does that work for you? No. Okay, well, what I'll do, I'll follow up with an offer letter anyway, put it in the drawer. I hope you get what you want. I really do. But if you don't, that offer stands for the next 2-3 years, subject to the economy. Like I'm always here. Just pick up the phone and call me. And then, you know, they might wait a couple of months more and then just pick up the phone and go, do you know what, can you come back? It may take 2, 3, 4 meetings of them seeing your face before they go, but just always be very, you know, always remember that this is sometimes the biggest investment in this person's life. They're scared. So never make them feel uncomfortable to call you. Never put them under any pressure. Let them make the decision themselves. But just with, again, if you've got the ultimate negotiation in your mind, then you don't move from your figures. It's not rude that your figure's 100 grand lower than the agent. The agent doesn't value that property where you do. And there's no need to be uncomfortable. But you do want to show them how you got to them figures. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Right, thank you. Matthew is asking, if you wanted to buy an EPL club, how would you go about it? Perhaps an investor wanted it.
Sorry,
yeah, have I picked that up right?
EPL club.
EPL.
Maybe get him to elaborate on that.
Yeah, Matthew, what are you saying there, please? Oh, English Premier League. How was I expected to know that? Honestly, Steve. Like,
that is a curveball one. Someone's out there pulling legs. Someone out there is pulling chain. Yeah. Right, Premier League club. Whoever's trying to pull my chain, I actually went for an option on Bolton Football Club. So we were going for an asset strip. We looked at the deal. It was heavily discounted due to Bolton Wanderers' situation. We went in with like 16 million on a 32 million valuation. We needed the option signed. If we'd have got that, we'd have made a clear 10 million. I said to a friend of mine who he's the underwriter for a wealthy family office, that we wanted to JV this deal. So if I can get this deal, can you give me the money? Well, anyone's going to give you 16 million quid against a 32 million valuation. The deal didn't come off, but whoever that was that asked that question we do buy football clubs.
Perfect. I think he was trying to catch me out there.
Was he?
Yeah, I
Pull
reckon.
me out.
So let's see, I've got them coming in all over the place here. So Nagoni, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Which factors would make you turn away from a land deal?
If my consultants were advising me. If I was being advised to stay away from it by an estate agent that I trusted, or if I was being advised to stay away from it by a planning consultant, or if there was history of the site having contamination, like, I'd still try to solve the problem, but you know, I usually go on advice. Like, I'm not a ground consultant, I'm not a surveyor, I'm not a planning consultant, so I don't make them decisions. I let my team make them decisions. I just go in as the negotiator really, and just try and get the price right. But if there's like problems with the property, this is where your consultant's going to help out so much. Like I say, that crack on the wall, God, that was panic stations. I wish I'd have took a picture of the crack and put it on this slide. It was so scary. But if we'd have had if we'd have had a Rick surveyor, he'd have spotted that straight away, and it helped with negotiation. So yeah, that's what I'd do there.
Right, thank you. So again, hope I'm pronouncing this properly. Suleiman, when you are flipping a deal on, is it okay to get outline planning permission, or do you need to get full planning?
You don't need to get full planning, no. Like, you can get outline planning, and a lot of people leave the landscaping off the planning permission, because landscaping is like one of the most unimportant things. I was actually advised that by John McDermott, a fantastic town planner. It is harder though, because you're still leaving a lot of time and money for the incoming buyer to put in. However, if the deal works, like, I'd say you'll always get more money with full planning, because you're saving time. They can come straight in with development finance. You're saving them the money element of paying for the application. But yeah, I mean, you can do that, but we get full planning and sell with full planning. That's what we do.
Right, okay. Stephen is asking, could you recommend a good accountancy practice in Blackpool, please?
I can recommend a couple of good accountancy practices. Your accountant doesn't need to be where you are, but Moore and Smalley are good, a bit expensive. Don't bend any rules. They're a top firm, so they don't get audited. So I went with them because they made my bank feel comfortable. However, sometimes when I'm looking for more entrepreneurial advice, I'll pick up the phone to Robert Head at Robert Lewis Accountants. They're young, they're entrepreneurs themselves. They buy companies, they buy property. So they're really excited to save money where they can. I'm not saying, I mean, Moore and Smalley are fucking great. I mean, you got an army with you with Moore and Smalley, but with Rob Lewis, he's Robert Head at Robert Lewis, they're on the ball. They're looking for every single possible way, because they're trying to save the money themselves. So luckily, I've got sort of both ends of the spectrum. And I watch a lot of videos on YouTube from Optimize. Is it Optimize? The UK property, I think they Optimize.
I think you're right. Can I just say, you are actually only talking to me.
On my YouTube. I've got him on my YouTube. He pops up and I watch everything he does. So
perfect, thank you. Actually, Deck is saying here, Juliet Key Accounting Solutions is fantastic. If you're interested, I'll put her number in the chat. So thank you for that, Deck. Always, please, people, if you are picking up a number here, and you do speak to them, if you could just say that you heard it during this webinar and mention the person that has given you the information. So thank you, Deck. So I've compiled a question here from about 2 or 3 people. Navi, you're one of them. Jason's another one as well. So do you see any problems with the Blackpool Council with the investment? I take it sort of regeneration projects. What's your thoughts?
Obviously, I don't know the intricate dealings of what goes on in the council. The council are trying to buy a couple of buildings off us now.
Right.
We've not agreed anything, but I really like Blackpool Council. I think they're very keen to fix the town. They're proactive. They're easy to deal with planning. I've found them a joy to deal with. They've got like a pot of about 80 million quid to buy local residential, which, you know, anyone can flip property to them. They're called My Blackpool Homes, but you do need to, you know, you need to sort of know the people in there. So, you know, we know them, so it's a little bit easier. But yeah, can you repeat the question again? Sorry, Lynn. Are they spending the money? Is that what they're trying to say?
Do you see any problems with Blackpool Council with regards to investment, i.e. sort of the regeneration projects?
Well, they've spent 100 million on the front. They've spent millions on the tram system. There's constantly road workers. They've got gas fracking coming down into the from like out of town into the coast. But the oil rigs out on site. I guess that ain't the council. But the council do try. You know, they can only try with the money they've got. They brought 300 million into the town. They negotiated a deal. They owned a car park and negotiated a deal with a developer to build a theme park. I do believe. They support local businesses as well with small business rates. Well, they've got an enterprise zone where if you get in the enterprise zone, you get rates reliefs to you know, sort of bring that demand to the town, bring that business demand to the town. I think they're a good council.
Yeah. And in relation to that, Navi's actually saying, do you think that service accommodation will survive there with currently what's going on?
It will saturate. It will saturate. You have to have the best units in town. Like Fabrik are building the best units in that town, no doubt. There is nobody that bring in the investment that Fabrik are. We are the market leaders when it comes to development in Blackpool for serviced accommodation. We're buying on prime locations, prime sites, anything bought through us for serviced accommodation. Now, when we first got into serviced accommodation, we looked at anything near to the front. And, you know, everyone told us that was where to be. But then when we got into doing deals, it was apparent that you really did need to be central in the town or up near the theme park. So we really targeted right around the Blackpool Tower, all the commercial properties around there is where we targeted. And you know, like I say, we just picked that. There's enough for us to go out there for the next couple of years and make the improvements we need to. So we've got, that. In answer, yeah, of course. I mean, it will saturate 100%.
Okay, thank you. I've got a couple more here. I'm just conscious of the time, but I'm going to do these couple. So Jordan's saying, could you touch on commercial conversion to resi logistics, please?
So the logistics would be secure the building. If it's got B1 use class, you can get automatic planning, but you do need to go through a planning app thing. But if you get your planning consultant, what I will do, I'll get my planning consultant. I'll say, can you tell me how many flats I'll get in that? Get them planned. You'll get 4. You'll get 5. You'll always get more serviced apartments than you will resi because the rules are different between. But with resi, you've got a more flexible exit. If you're going to buy centrally in central Blackpool, you want to go serviced apartments to maximise the amount of units you can get. So that helps the GDV, and you can squeeze the asset. So you say, how many units can I get in that? If it's resi, they'll tell you for whatever. And then you just base your offer based on that. It's all, you know, start with your GDV, take off your developer's profit, take off your construction, take off your finance, take off your sundry costs, and then there's your offer.
Perfect, thank you.
And then the logistics of getting it done is then offer subject to planning, on exchange of planning or on signing of the option for planning, then get planning. Then because you've got the lift in value, get a bridging company to take you out. They'll happily do loan to value over loan to purchase price because you've lifted the value. You've given the building a lift in value. So it's not like you're just asking them to go loan to value. You've given it a lift. Then they'll give you the loan, which takes out which you're now in ownership of the property. And then it may be a development loan where you go on and charge forward and get the build done. And then within that period, when you get the nod from your planning consultant, look, you're definitely going to get this, start instructing your RIC surveyor. So then your RIC surveyor's getting the building drawings ready, building control drawings, getting the fire drawings done. I mean, you might want CGIs or whatever you want. he'll then go ahead and get all that done. So you're getting your team. I mean, the first time you do this, you're not going to do it very well. You're gonna pull people in at the wrong times and stuff. But as you get better, you start really bringing the people in to just basically save you time throughout the job, which saves you money.
Perfect, thank you. Tiravan says, what strategies do you see slowing down? And equally, any strategies that you think will thrive given the markets at the moment?
It's a great question, Tiravan. Virtually hi. I mean, residential's doing really well. If you've got DSS tenants, the rents are just coming in. I mean, my DSS tenants are great. Rents just keep coming in. I think working tenants are going to take a hit. They're going to lose jobs, which is going to cause your residential portfolio to stall slightly. And I can't predict the future, but you want to be convinced. You want to be talking to them tenants and helping them get on universal credit. Because if someone's never been on universal credit, they might need a bit of hand holding through the process. So communicate with your tenants there. Service departments, I think will slow, but then I think they'll take off. I think service departments will be good because I think when we come out of this, I think a lot more people will holiday at home this year.
I agree.
Commercial's going to get hit hard. I mean, we all know Amazon is taking over. Retail is, what's going to happen with commercial is you're going to have to be on decent prime streets and you're going to look for good local operators. You know, Blackpool, cafes, bars. What is my planning consultant? Like little mum and pups, you know, little passion artery stores, he calls them. It's like, you know, little people with local passions. But I think you'll see some of the cost to rent retail come down. I think the market that needs to be watched for, and I shouldn't be telling everyone this, but I will because you'll come here, is tired industrial. Tired commercial industrial. People are going to want to move and they're not going to care if it's brand new. You pick up tired industrial for cheap, and your yields, if you can get northwest, you might get north of like 11-12%. And everybody, you know, with a commercial tenant, you've got so much more control. The regulations are so less, they're so much in your favour. Like commercial tenants, tired industrial. Said it here first.
Thank you. Suleiman is saying, does an option agreement give you the right to sell the property through auction at a higher price? Good question.
That's a great question. Does the option? Well, you can't sell, according to my London solicitor, you can't sell an option. You can't. No, you can sell an option, but what he's asking is, can you sell an option? Can you take something on an option and put it in an auction? I actually think you can, because you're gonna, when they exchange with, it depends on the terms you can get with the seller, because when they exchange at auction, you have to instantly exchange with your the guy you've got the option with. So at auction, hammer goes down, they exchange, instantaneously you're going to pass that money down. So you need to make sure with that vendor that you've got enough time, so he's got to give you the 28 days or whatever. And another thing, you can get an assignable contract. I think we've done them. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm sort of, Matt is all in this. Like I'm sure he does assignable contracts, which is another way. So I hope I've answered that question, but tell the person that I'm going to ask Matt Harper Penman to follow up with his advisory note on that. If that's okay.
Perfect. Okay.
He does a lot more than me.
Yeah, I'll just message Matt in the background there and get that done.
He'll definitely be watching or watch this later, and I'm sure he'll get a good response back.
Yeah, he's in the background there.
And if I can't get it off Matt, tell the guy I'll get it off of a lawyer.
Steve, just to confirm, you are telling him, because you're live still. So you're telling him yourself. You're not just talking to me. So one more here from Suleiman actually said, thank you very much, appreciate that. It would be great. Yeah, if you could just get back to him, please, Matt. So Matt Parsons is saying, can you get development finance on an option, or is the option really just to help you secure it? And then once you get the planning, you buy it and then get the development finance?
I would imagine the development finance company will, the finance company will want to be working with the most development finance companies will want to be working with the owner, I imagine. But saying that, we're trying to do a deal at the moment for 100 units in Liverpool, and we want to sell the units off plan. And I'm hopefully taking the property on an option, and then while it's on an option, because then I'm doing a JV contract, because you can't sell off the back of the option. So again, it's a really technical question. It's a good question.
Can we find out the information for that and get back to Matt?
Just ask the question again, because it is a good question.
So the question is, can you get development finance on an option, or is the option really just to help you secure it, and then once you get the plan in, you buy and then you get development finance?
I think it is. I really do. I struggle to see how a development funder would give you money in an option. No, the option would secure it, and then you would, complete on that option after you get planning or whatever. But again, I'd like to just put that again to Matt and possibly a lawyer, just to. I don't want to give anyone any false information. I mean, I think the guy who's written it knows it in his head. Yes, you secure it, but
okay, we'll get Matt Harper-Penman to get you across an answer there.
The thing is, the questions are good, because I'd like, solid answer in my own head as well. So great questions.
Glenn says he's seeing lots of ex-commercial offices being let to council as resi. So thank you for that, Glenn.
Lots of ex-commercial?
Yeah, ex-commercial offices being let to the council as resi.
Maybe that's why they're trying to buy some commercial off of Fabrik at the moment. Oh, yeah.
Possibly.
Thank you for that.
So that kind of wraps up all the questions that have come through from everyone. I just want to say I'm very conscious of the time. We were going to really stick to our timeline on this, but everyone stuck with us, and
did they?
The questions have just been coming through constantly. So, Steve, are you happy to go through a very quick fire round here?
Go, fire away. Come on.
Are you prepared? Right.
No.
Make the answers quick, precise. Otherwise, I'm going to. Right. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something. So, ready? Take a deep breath. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Blackpool?
Blackpool sort of chose us. I think I explained earlier, got offered 64-bedroom hotel, £50,000, sold it in a day for 100. Nice profit. Let's go have a look what's going on in Blackpool.
Perfect. Why have you stayed there?
Because the town's on fire. There's loads going on. You've got various different operators coming in now, Premier Inn, Hilton, Easy Hotel. You've got the tram system coming down. You've got gas fracking was started. It's stalled slightly now. You've got the enterprise zone. A £300 million development on the front, constant regeneration, and a honeypot of deals. So I get to do lots of deals, which I enjoy.
Perfect. What's been the hardest thing since starting Fabrik?
Finding good people.
To work for you, or
to partner with. Good surveyors, good solicitors, planning consultants, good staff. Fran, my assistant's been an absolute godsend. And you have to sieve through some bad people to get there, and it's painful.
Perfect. How can people work with Fabrik?
Loads of ways. Call up sales. If you've got deals to sell, have a chat with them about it. Try and know your apples. Try and do. I mean, we're not just going to look at we're not just going to look at addresses. We want direct to vendor or direct to mandate. Literally, Mitch, who works for us, he'll tell you how frustrated I get when someone's got a chain of brokers. I'm not interested. But just you bring deals, bring finance. We just raised £8 million for a finance for a construction firm in London. That deal was brought to me by someone in the gym. He said, "Can you help this guy? He needs £8 million." Yeah, took it to a family office, got it through. No one else would lend, so and that was just a guy in the gym. He's going to earn about, I think he's around 10 or 15 grand out of that.
Right. Sorry, just to interrupt there, I can see that Matt Harper-Penman has actually replied to you, Suleiman, in the chat there. So, just have a read of that. Let us know if you need any more information, please. So, Steve, do you have deals available?
Yeah, always.
What sort of deals?
Commercial conversions, land, small deals, like got loads on option. We've always got stuff. Okay. Yeah, we've always got bits. Yeah.
Perfect. Can you source finance?
Yes.
How do you juggle life-work balance? This actually came in from one of the women, I will just say. So how do you juggle your work-life balance?
One date night a week, go jogging together with the missus, try and get my little baby out of bed, try and, show my son 10, 20 minutes quality time a day. Doesn't sound a lot, but what more can you do? I'm addicted to work. I do try.
That's honest. That's good.
Yeah, I do try.
And that's more than a lot of people in your situation give. So appreciate that.
I do try.
Do you have professionals if people want them? Yes, I mean, you've already given us some, but yeah, if anyone else wants to get in contact with any professionals you've got, can we pass them on, please?
Yeah, just contact sales and we use the same people over and over again. Someone will help you.
Excellent. What do you think is the best advice for people starting out in property?
Get educated. Don't let your money leave your pocket fast. Hold your money, take your time. Take a year, go work with a company for a year. Not as in a wage, but work alongside someone who's quite trusted in the market. Help them, offer your services for free, learn the ropes.
Lovely. Who do you follow and read about and take inspiration from?
At the moment, I'm really fascinated by the way marketing is changing. So at the moment, it'd be Gary Vaynerchuk, Russell Brunson. I love Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill. Tony Robbins is a great person to Brian Tracy. Oh,
The list is endless.
only, Ty Lopez, they're a little bit flaky, I think, but they're all right. Rob Moore, he's a great guy. Rob Moore's a great guy. If you get to know Rob, he's all right, He's all right when you get to know him, he's fucking so driven, the guy. And, if I text him, he texts me back. He takes the time. If I text him a question, he will text me back. And I'll really...
Perfect customer.
High net worth, sophisticated investor, a developer, your private investor that knows nothing, but we probably wouldn't buy them property. We'd probably just give them a return on their cash until we'd like an earn and learn service, something like that. Like we've learned our lesson. We've learned our lesson. You really do need to be working with professional investors when dealing with these bigger deals. You can't be working with people who are new to the game. It's not fair. It's not, you want people, you want entrepreneurs, business owners, high net worth investors, sophisticated investors, people who understand a little bit. And if not, put them on an earn and learn, or put them into a JV with someone that does know what they're doing. Like put them in a JV with a builder or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Can anyone earn money with Fabrik?
Pretty much, I guess, yeah. If you bring me the right deal, I'm tenacious. So the whole team, we've installed tenacity across the culture of the group is to, try and find solutions for anyone's problems. I mean, that guy that did the £8 million loan on Northern Ireland, I don't think he couldn't believe it. He tried it. The BDM inside the company that was with the CEO, they turn over 150 million a year. He could not find the money anywhere. And I said, literally, they met me. He went, I'm not making any promises, mate. The deal you can have, but I've got 4 brokers on it. I went, that's fine. If I don't get the deal and you get the money, I'm happy. But I knew I was going to get the deal because we just always push harder than others. And I was the only one that told him I didn't know if I could get the money. Everyone else told him they could get the money. Big red flag. If you offer someone a deal and they instantly say they can help you without even looking at it or looking at you or reading into it, red flag straight away. Because there's so many things that can kick a deal out. For someone to say yes straight away. I mean, it took us 2 weeks to get through due diligence with them guys.
Excellent, thank you. What's your favourite most recent purchase?
Favourite most recent purchase? I bought a dumbbell bench for my gym. And it was a little bit expensive, a little bit extravagant. It cost me a few £100, but it does everything I need. So now I've got a proper workout.
Glad to hear it. Hope we're going to see the effects of it and another Zoom.
I knew you'd have to pull some sort of pun. I knew it.
I haven't finished yet. Just a few more. How many options have you actually done?
100 plus.
100 plus. Perfect. Favourite saying?
There's loads. I think one guy said something to me once. He was a really top, high, wealthy guy. And he said, Steve, in life, what would you prefer? A stupid friend or a clever enemy? And I instantly said to him, stupid friend. And he went, no. He said, clever enemy. They keep you sharp. And he's very true. So
Very clever.
I really do like to keep an eye on the competitors.
That's very clever indeed. Favourite food?
It's got to be Indian.
Hey, which one? What do you go for? You a Madras?
Vindaloo, mate. Bang. Like,
Wow.
foul Vindaloo. Give it to me. Make me head come off.
Have you got a spare room? Is that where you sleep on a Vindaloo night?
She does kick me out. She would laugh. If she watches this, she will laugh because sometimes she's, get out. But no, yeah, Vindaloo, that's my favourite.
Right, I've got 2 more for you.
Go for it.
You're going to like these. Not a lot. Favourite car?
Owned or not owned? Before or
both. What favourite car that you've owned?
Favourite car that I've owned was probably the Lamborghini Huracan, but then the Range Rover SVR was a real fucking good car. The best car I've ever driven is a Porsche Turbo S. But then again, I haven't managed to get my hands on one, but the new M5 competition pack, wow. I mean, what the spec there, the stats they're showing on that look unbelievable.
Really? And Steve, I could not leave, all these people here that do know me, and there's quite a few, my reputation precedes me, so I have to finalise with the last question. Favourite make of boxers?
Tom Ford.
Tom Ford, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. Steve Jacob likes Tom Ford boxers.
Yeah.
How about that? So once again, Steve, a massive, massive thank you for joining, and from everyone for actually sticking with us through to the end here. Sharing your life with us, you know, sharing an incredible wealth of knowledge. I know you're not a massive social media fan, but you know, but tell us, how can people contact you? Where do people go to find out about Fabrik?
I've got a slide here. I left it to the end to get in touch. I actually
put me on there.
Yeah. We don't miss anything.
You don't.
No. Number one, I am a massive fan of social media, and I do watch everyone. Like, I keep an eye on everything. It's just a very, you know, nerve-wracking thing to put yourself out there. And, you know, I know you have to. Like, at the end of the day, you've got all this value to give people. I don't need anything. I don't want to start an education company. Like, that isn't in my eyesight right now. I'm not saying I'll never do it.
Yeah.
I fully enjoy giving this value, and I just hope that, Lynn, if you can collect responses for me, if there's more I can do for the community, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So I do love it. But yeah, if you want to find me, steve.jacob@fabricpropertygroup.com or Steve__Jacob. And everybody says, why did you do that? It looks confusing on screen. I did have Steve Jacob 2, and then Liam Ryan said, why are you number 2? And I was like, I actually don't know. So I went to Steve__Jacob. I'm not number 2.
Perfect. I know, as you said, you know, you're a little bit nervous sort of before doing this, but Steve, if it's okay with you, I'd really like to have you back. Will you come back with us?
100% we'll do something. I mean, as long as I think the promotion started Monday, I think we did really well to fill and register everyone.
Yeah.
I did know that there was some like Zoom to Facebook Live technology. I think try that. I've seen people doing it. But yeah, as long as I've got a couple of weeks, because I mean, my team did all the slides because I'm not techie, but like the thought process, I spent quite a few hours just thinking about putting all the value in. And I practiced the slides a couple of times to make sure I hit an hour, which I didn't, but I tried my hardest too.
But yeah, we did have a techie problem in there, which when we're off of this, I'll probably give you a call and thank you personally for that one.
Yeah, and any messages like Facebook Messenger, anything, like I do really, really try to answer people. Like I'm a sociable person. I enjoy talking to people. I love meeting people from all different walks of life. So it'd be nice to hear from people.
Is there a book in the making? Can I just ask?
I mean, I'll let the market decide if there was strong demand for a book. God, I don't know if I could write after working in the city for 3 years. I don't think I'd want them pages in the book. God, that was. But yeah, it depends. Like, I'd like to write a book on options. I think because I do think I've got a lot of value to give on options. Because this was scratching the surface, and there's so many more stories. But yeah, maybe yeah.
Perhaps, guys, you can help me out here with Steve. If you fancy a book on options from Steve Jacob, then just put yes to the book. Yes, we'd love a book. Anything like that in the chat, we'd appreciate it. So as promised at the beginning, anyone who stayed for us with us to the end here will be sending you all the slides, just so you've got the notes there, memory joggers. Steve, would you like to tell everyone what the prize is for sticking with us till the end, please?
So me and Matt spoke, and we felt that the best thing to give you guys was a copy of a lease option contract done by a solicitor. They cost about £1,000 to do, but I think you will need to get a new contract done. You might be able to use the template, your solicitor, it might help them, but just read it, because the education alone is worth £1,000. Just read it, and then you'll get your head around it. And I've asked him to dig out the most complex one we've done, which he will know better than me.
Lovely. So, yeah, what I'd like to say actually is, oh, Steve, we're getting a load of yes to the books here. Yes to the book, yes to the book, yes to the book, yes. There you go. Got to be done. Add that to your list. So if you'd like a copy of the recording, then please just put record in the chat there. We'll get that across to you. If you'd like, Matt Parsons has said, I love a good colouring book. Thank you, Matt. So yeah, we're getting lots of people coming in saying record. So if you'd like a copy of the recording, just put record in the chat. If you'd like a copy of the contract, please do put that in the chat there, and we'll get that across to you. Email me, contact me on social media. I'd be more than happy to help you. Let me know any subjects that you'd like us to cover in the future. And yeah, Steve, hopefully you'll have a few of your good friends out there that you can recommend to us as well. We can get them.
Definitely.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to put the recording as well out on Facebook, anywhere we can on social media. I'd really appreciate it, everybody, if you could just go on, give it some likes, give it some loves, put some comments on there.
Yeah, that's one thing you could do for me. Share it with as many people as you possibly can, please.
Yeah, we'll do, absolutely. A massive, massive, massive thank you, Steve, again for coming on here. And a huge, huge, huge thank you to everyone for joining us, staying for the 2 hours that we weren't expecting. Please stay safe, stay well. Love you all. See you all soon. Thank you.
Take care, guys. All the best. Thank you. Thank you.